Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry we're late. The Armed Services Committee unanimously reported out a bill today, our 2010 Defense Authorization Bill. It was a unanimous vote. There's a handout which you now have showing some of the key decisions. The outcome is at least 90% supportive of Secretary Gates' initiatives and reforms that he announced on April 6th and that were included in the President's budget. And those initiatives and reforms included terminating some troubled programs such as the airborne laser, the kinetic energy interceptor, the presidential helicopter, the manned ground vehicle portion of the future combat system, the no line of sight cannon. We did not authorize additional funds where we didn't believe they were needed for the C-17s. We shifted the emphasis, as the Secretary of Defense recommended, in a number of other programs, including missile defense. We accepted the cuts in the ground-based interceptor and the deployed ground-based interceptors, limiting them to 30, as recommended by the Secretary of Defense. We increased a number of missile defense programs as recommended, and that included the THAAD program and the Standard Missile-3. As recommended, we delayed starts when the programs were not adequately defined. And there's a number of places where we did not follow the recommendations of the Secretary of Defense. We added 7 F-22s by a vote of 13 to 11. And also, I would say the other couple other key differences, we did not stop the development of the second Joint Strike Fighter engine. That was a vote of 12 to 10 to continue that second engine. We also added some F-18s because of the shortfall in the deck aircraft for the Navy. We went from 9 as recommended to 18 on the F-18s. And there was a few other differences between us and the recommendation, but those are some of the key ones. We spent a lot of time on the question of military commissions. President Obama has stated that he believes that some detainees should be tried by military commissions. But in order for that to happen and to survive legal challenge, those commissions have got, and their procedures have got to be changed to ensure that they are consistent with American principles of justice. Military commissions, we decided and believe, can play a legitimate role in prosecuting violations of the law of war, but only if they meet standards of fairness which have been established by the Supreme Court. In its 2006 decision in the Hamden case, the Supreme Court held that the Geneva Convention prohibits the trial of detainees for violations of the law of war, in other words, by military commissions, unless the trial is conducted by, quote, a regularly constituted court, affording all the judicial guarantees which are recognized as indispensable by civilized peoples. The Supreme Court added that, quote, the regular military courts in our system are the courts martial established by congressional statutes, and that a military commission can be regularly constituted by the standards of our military justice system if some practical need explains deviation from court-martial practice. We have a very carefully crafted provision here for those procedures. And we believe that they will pass scrutiny by the courts. We hope so. We put a lot of time in this. But we did decide that we were going to adopt the procedures for the military commissions. The language which we adopted addressed some of the following issues that have been discussed relative to military commissions and where we modified previous language in law. the use of coerced testimony. We have put in our bill it is not going to be admissible. When is hearsay admissible? We modified that rule from the existing law. When can classified and how can classified evidence be used? We addressed that issue. We addressed the issue of detainee access to exculpatory evidence and jurisdiction over detainees. Now, those are just some of the highlights, but this was a all-encompassing provision relative to the procedures I emphasized just on the military commissions. And the way that one other thing is that we work very closely with the White House on this matter, and when I say we, I'm talking about Senator McCain, Senator Graham, and myself. We spent a lot of time on it. These provisions take the place of the procedures in the existing law. There are some few areas where we have not completed our agreement. Hopefully we can between now and the time this goes to the Senate floor, which could be as early as the week after next. But we are in agreement on almost all of the language on these procedures for military commissions that are in the bill, enough that we felt comfortable in presenting it to the full committee, and the entire committee voted for it. And we'll continue to work on language as we get to the Senate deliberation. It was, as I said, a unanimous vote. It took efforts, bipartisan efforts on the part of everybody, but I especially want to compliment my ranking member, Senator McCain, and all the members of the committee for pulling together, doing this in a very expeditious way, but doing it in a bipartisan fashion.